for generations.
Dates in the Bible don't quite match the marriage certificate. Uh-oh.
And it is time to talk family history on America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. Nice to have you along, and I'm excited about our guest today. First of all, the big talk going on right now in family history is about this idea of using DNA testing sites to solve cold cases. We've been talking about it on the show in recent weeks. The Golden State Killer case has brought up a lot of issues, and we're going to talk to Paul Woodbury, our DNA specialist friend from over at one of our sponsors, Legacy Tree Genealogist. He's got some insight on that he's going to share in about 10 minutes. And then coming up a little later on in the show, we're going to talk to Catherine Wilson in Michigan about her latest invention you're going to want to hear about. A virtual genealogy society. But right now, let's head off to Boston and talk to David Allen Lambert, the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org. That is such a big title, David. I don't know how you got it.
Just call me Dave.
I will call you Dave. Exactly. All right. And before we get to our Family Histoire news today, David, you have made another fascinating connection, and this one kind of goes way back.
Well, it really does. As it is with autosomal DNA, you can pretty much go back to your fourth great-grandparent. And for me, I have Jonathan Poor, a Revolutionary War captain from Massachusetts, who I'm in the SAR with. And I joined only to find out there was also another member of the SAR who joined under him just recently. And my cousin George has been DNA tested. Well, we actually share DNA. It goes back to one set of fourth great-grandparents. So I'm very anxious because George has given me the raw DNA download, which you can do, and I'll be able to see on what chromosomes I still have DNA in my body from my Revolutionary War ancestor.
Isn't that cool? And you can take that, of course, and then put it on DNA Painter, which is that free site that helps you keep track of where DNA is coming from. So you might find some other matches at some point, and you can pinpoint exactly which ancestor that match came from.
It's really true. And if you can find matches on your fourth great-grandparents and third great-grandparents, it gives you a more detailed look on DNA Painter. So I'm looking to find more distant cousins.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll tell you, DNA has been something that hit a home run for one member of the Baseball Hall of Fame, Jim Palmer, who was adopted, now has, by DNA from Ancestry.com, determined his mom and dad.
Yeah, isn't this amazing? It was his wife who became the big genie. She's having him spit and then went to work, and he said, yeah, just let me know when you got some results. He wasn't that interested in being part of the process. But it seems he was born in New York City to a wealthy dad and a woman who was from the lower classes. And he wound up being adopted. And then, of course, the rest is history.
That if you take some of those baseballs from Cooperstown, they probably have a lot of DNA on them, especially those spitballers.
Yeah, the spitballers. That's true when you go way back. And by the way, his birth family, big-time Yankee fans. Who knew? And of course, if you're not familiar with Jim Palmer, he was a Yankee killer, and of course, he killed a lot of other teams, too, as a Baltimore Oriole back in their glory days in the 60s and 70s.
For some people, glory days may be over 200 years ago, and that would be for George Washington. But we know that the father of our country doesn't have any living descendants. Well, there is a gentleman who claims to be his descendant, and William Figba is now suing President Trump for back rent of over nearly $250,000.
And yeah, actually, he's gone and sued back presidents, too. He's gone back to Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush Jr. He's gotten the Clintons. He's gotten Obama. He wants that back money, and he's saying it's because of his direct descent from George Washington, who, A, never lived in the White House, and B, as you mentioned, has no known descendants because supposedly he wasn't able to have any kids.
That's what I understood. Well, maybe this person might want to try for Mount Vernon first.
Yeah, good point. That might be a better shot.
My next story is kind of interesting because our ancestors were in fear every time you saw a Viking vessel vessel coming in near your village in a coastal part of Europe hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Right.
However, you might be excited this fall to actually see a Viking ship 115 foot long with 25 pairs of oars arriving in the coast from Maine all the way down to Washington, D.C. And the Draken Herald Harfagra will be there with 35 men and crew aboard the ship. And in fact, if you wanted to volunteer to be on it, they're even looking for oarsmen.
How cool is that? And, you know, I do have a Norwegian great-great-grandfather, and I'm very proud of that heritage, and it would be really fun to see that, yet alone be a crewman, but I really don't think I have it in me anymore to row across the Atlantic Ocean.
Well, maybe we can get the captain to be a guest on Extreme Genes and see what it's like to be a pillager across the East Coast in the 21st century.
There you go. Yeah, maybe you can go see it. It's going to be in your neighborhood, and it starts this summer.
I'm looking forward to maybe going into Boston and seeing it if that's where it shows up. Well, every week I like to give a blogger spotlight, and this week I want to give a shout-out to Cynthia Shenette. Cynthia has a blog with an interesting name called Heritage Zen, The Pursuit of Genealogical Enlightenment, and it's available at heritagezen.blogspot.com. And she puts in things about her ancestors' trip back to Poland in the 1930s with the pictures of the vessel and the menu that they actually had on board the ship, and she's taken a lot of different diaries. But what I like is her column on the left that actually gives a good breakdown to all of the different subject matters, so you can quickly make reference, and I'm sure via Google, find things that would be useful in your own family tree. And it goes to show you, Fish, that even the insignificant stuff in your draw can be an important blog for somebody down the road.
Yeah, well said.
Well, that's all I have from Beantown. I'm heading off really shortly now to head to Albany, New York, where NEHGS is having our research tour to the state capitol. And remember, if you're not an NEHGS member, you can become one by going to AmericanAncestors.org and save $20 with the code EXTREME.
All right. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you again next week.
All righty, looking forward to it.
All right, and coming up next from Legacy Tree Genealogists, it's Paul Woodbury, their DNA specialist. We're going to talk about this whole problem with using your DNA to maybe help find criminals in cold cases in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Hey, Genies, it is Fisher here, and I want to congratulate my friends at Legacy Tree Genealogists as they celebrate their 14th anniversary this month. Now, they are award-winning, longtime supporters of Extreme Genes and incredibly talented and effective researchers with experts in all different aspects of genealogy from all over the world and in DNA. My good friend Jessica Taylor founded Legacy Tree in 2004. And it is now one of the most respected research firms in the country. And as part of their celebration, they are offering a free custom-printed 18 by 24-inch family history chart with every genealogy research project. So if you've been thinking about hiring some true experts to help you break down a brick wall, there's never been a better time to do it. Legacy Tree Genealogists. Go to legacytree.com and learn about the special offer, which ends, by the way, on May 31st. Do not miss out. They'll take great care of you. It's Legacy Tree Genealogists.
Did you know that Family Search Family Tree is available through a powerful new mobile app experience? That's right. Now you can view, edit, and even add information to ancestors in your family tree whenever and wherever you are. You no longer need to wait to get home or make a date with your computer to view or update your family tree. You can add details to your tree when visiting with family or when capturing details from a trip to the cemetery. You can share new family history discoveries from classroom settings. You can even make the most of your time when waiting for doctor appointments or car repairs. Get started today by downloading the free Family Search Family Tree app to your Apple or Android device. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to get the Family Tree app for free. Exploring and expanding your family tree has never been more convenient. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to download the Family Search Family Tree mobile app today.
Hey, Genies, Fisher here with a shout out to our Patrons Club members at patreon.com/extremegenes. This is where friends of the show support Extreme Genes for as little as $1 a month, all the way up to the cost of a very nice burger each month. I mean, a really juicy one. You can support the show and enjoy various special Patrons Club member benefits, such as acknowledgement on extremegenes.com, special bonus podcasts from expert guests like Maureen Taylor, the photo detective, C.C. Moore, your genetic genealogist, great storytellers and experts on record sets from all over the world. We even offer expert advice on specific questions challenging your research. So go to patreon.com/extremegenes and get signed up. We love sharing your genealogical journey with you on our Extreme Genes Patrons Club. After all, what would you rather have? Inspiring and informative content or another greasy burger? The choice is yours. And thanks for supporting Extreme Genes. Welcome back. It is America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes, and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. And the Golden State Killer case is attracting a lot of attention these days because of the way by which they caught the alleged person, Joseph James DeAngelo. He was a California cop, worked for a couple of different police departments there. He's accused of 12 murders, 45 sexual assaults over 30 years. He ransacked allegedly over 100 homes and actually took souvenirs, kind of the classic serial killer. And the way he was found is said to be largely through GEDMatch. Yeah, the DNA website that so many of us, including myself, use to find matches for our genealogical efforts. And it's causing some concern in certain circles. And that's why I decided to get my friend Paul Woodbury on the line. He's the DNA specialist over at Legacy Tree Genealogist. How are you, Paul?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me, Fish.
Hey, always happy to have you. And this is an interesting case because obviously law enforcement officials have used DNA for a long, long time, but usually it's within the confines of their own DNA databases that they've put together over the years, right?
Absolutely. And those databases are quite distinct from what we typically use as genealogists. The CODIS database, or the Combined DNA Index System, is composed of more than 10 million samples, completely composed of convicted felons or suspects in criminal investigation. And it has some really strong privacy protections around that. It only looks at 13 to 20 markers that are unique to most individuals. And so it's not as effective for the type of familial searching that we do as genealogists, where we're looking for what DNA we share in common rather than the DNA that we have that's different from everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Well, with GEDMatch, I mean, it's a different site, I would say, than Ancestry's DNA database or 23andMe or MyHeritage or Family Tree DNA, in that it's really kind of open, and I don't know that most of us really realized that.
And in fact, if you look at GEDMatch's terms of service and their terms of use, they do indicate that while the main purpose of GEDMatch is genealogical research, they can't guard against the possibility that test results will be used for other purposes outside of genealogy.
Now, I think most of us would feel like, hey, you know what? If my DNA leads to the capture of somebody who's committed these horrendous crimes, I'm all for it. But I guess it does amount to a question of illegal search and seizure, right? Because my DNA isn't just my DNA. It belongs to my brother, my sister, my first cousin, second cousin, obviously in smaller amounts as you go along. But at some point, it amounts to sharing somebody else's DNA, right?
Yeah, and I think that is one of the major concerns about these types of cases. We're at the very beginning of genetic genealogy as a field. And so for now, it's easy for us to say, well, you know, I feel really good about having my DNA out there to help catch a violent criminal. However, how would we feel about this use for, say, shoplifting or for other lesser crimes that it may be used for in the future? How would we feel about the use of this DNA data set to convict our yet unborn second great-grandchildren. So there's lots of things that we need to be thinking about now and anticipating for the future, discussing actively in the genealogical community to make sure that we maintain appropriate boundaries for when it's appropriate to use familial searching in this way for law enforcement investigation.
That's right, because I don't think most of us had any idea that that was a possibility through GEDMatch. I'm wondering, as you said that, could this be a possible way by which a conviction could be overturned or this guy set free because of the fact that it would amount to illegal search and seizure of his DNA?
In this case, what they did was they used crime scene evidence. They performed whole genome sequencing on that DNA. And from that, they created pseudo kits that they uploaded to GEDMatch. They essentially pulled all of the markers that align with the markers that the DNA testing companies also query. Mm-hmm. And then they used that and compared it to GEDMatch. Once they had identified and narrowed down to a potential suspect, then they went and obtained a discarded piece of trash from him, did DNA sampling on that in their own database, and used that as the firm evidence that this was the man. So there's some ambiguity there, but I think that it's certainly something that will be brought up and explored as part of this trial, as part of this case, and as part of other investigations utilizing similar approaches.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier the CODIS system, right? And they have pretty stringent protections in effect there. Why then do they think they can use GEDMatch and not follow those same protections?
It's an excellent question, and I think that part of that is because it is wide open. There is no precedent, and so there's a lack of regulations, of protections, of procedures that need to be followed in order to protect those innocent individuals who have participated in these databases under the understanding that their DNA is being used for genealogy research, as opposed to criminals and convicted felons who are in the CODIS database. Even for the CODIS database, you can only use it through authorized government officials. You can only use it under certain circumstances, and you can only use it for familial searching, the type of searching that we do in genealogical research, under very limited circumstances and only in some jurisdictions. So there's certainly a lack of balance in how well protected, well organized, and structured the procedures are for the use of the CODIS database versus GEDMatch, which is wide open and available to anyone.
So it's almost like they're using this for a test case.
I think so, and that is one of the other concerns, is that this is still an experimental approach. When you take whole genome sequence data from crime scene data and create a kit out of that, it raises all sorts of questions about the quality of the reads, how those samples were processed, who did the processing, the chain of custody. So it introduces a whole new set of considerations that need to be explored and really well understood in order to use that information as evidence in an investigation.
Boy, I mean, there's really a lot of points of attack here for a defense attorney, right?
I think so.
Do you think that people who have their material, who have their DNA results up there on GEDMatch right now, are having second thoughts now about whether they should be there or not?
The response that I've seen is mixed. I've seen some people who have said, I'm glad that I was able to be a part of helping to get a dangerous killer off the streets and to bring justice to those victims. I've also seen some other sides of the argument where people have expressed concern that they never consented for their DNA to be used in this way, or the kits that they administer, they recognize that they never obtained permission from the relatives they tested in order for their samples to be used in this way, and that they're not sure that their relatives are fully aware of the way that their DNA may have been used in these cases.
Yeah.
Another consideration is that GEDMatch is an international database. It's composed of samples from all over the world. And so individuals from Britain, from around the world, have sometimes expressed concern that why should my DNA, a citizen of another country outside of the jurisdiction of the United States, be used in one of their law enforcement cases? And alternatively, how would I feel about my DNA being utilized in another country for approaches or convictions that I am particularly not in accordance with or in agreement with, that I don't consider to be fair uses of genetic evidence?
Oh, yeah.
How would I feel about my DNA being utilized for investigations of adultery in Saudi Arabia?
Right. I was going to say something like that.
There's lots of things that we have to keep in mind, that this is not just a one-way street. Just as U.S. law enforcement could use GEDMatch for the purposes and the things that we commonly consider to be good approaches to law enforcement here in the U.S., it could also be used for ethnic genocide in another country.
Wow. Wow, Paul. I mean, I think this is much deeper than anybody ever imagined it could be. What is GEDMatch saying about all this?
So to date, GEDMatch has not come out and restricted the use of their database for these purposes. They have reaffirmed that according to the terms of service, although the main purpose of the GEDMatch database is for genealogical investigation, it can be used for other purposes as well. And that if we're uncomfortable with those purposes, we should remove our samples from GEDMatch, make them research kits, make them private, and do the same for those kits that we administer. Particularly for those relatives whose kits I administer, I have gone in and made all of those kits research kits so that they're unsearchable, they're not accessible by other individuals in the database, because those individuals did not give me permission to use their DNA test results in law enforcement investigations.
Sure. Now, what about this same type of approach in dealing with any of the other sites out there? Is this really exclusive to GEDMatch or anybody else?
As far as we know, GEDMatch was utilized for the Golden State Killer case. None of the other companies were approached by law enforcement, and no formal requests were made for information from those databases. Ancestry and 23andMe and MyHeritage, in their terms of service, prohibit the use of their databases for law enforcement investigations and criminal investigations.
But sometime in the future, family tree DNA could be used in a similar way, then you're saying?
According to their terms of service, currently, as I have reviewed them and understand them, yes.
Wow. You know, this is, I think, a lot deeper and heavier than a lot of people considered. An important conversation. Paul, thanks so much for your insight on this. It gives us all a lot of something to think about.
Thanks.
We'll be back in 5 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks. Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
Welcome back. It is America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth. And I've been thinking back over the last 5 years since we started this show and all the different things that have come along, all the changes in how you go about doing your research, the technology. And there are some moments that have come along that are just jaw-dropping. And I think we've got another one of those happening right now. And my friend Catherine Wilson is on the line. She's in Michigan. She's part of the Michigan Genealogical Societies. Hi, Catherine. How are you? Welcome.
Hi. Thank you so much.
I'm looking at what you've got going right now, and this is kind of insane. And the first word I got of this was David Allen Lambert telling me about being at the NGS conference and visiting with you and hearing about how you had started a new thing that really makes sense for the 21st century, and it's just exploding. Tell us about the Virtual Genealogy Society.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really exciting, and it's certainly explosion is a great word. There were a few of us who were thinking about the fact that there's this whole younger population who are interested in genealogy, but they have no interest in hanging out with all of us old people at the society meetings. So they're not coming to their local societies, and they're also doing everything on their phones or their tablets. I've been teaching classes in Ann Arbor for about 15 years, and I've started getting 1 or 2 students every semester. They don't even have a computer. They're doing everything on their phone. They have the Ancestry app, the Family Search app. And I thought, wait a minute, these are the people that all of these societies are talking about. These are the ones we're trying to bring in. And why do we keep saying, how do we get them to come to us? What if we flip it around and we say, let's go to them? And that was the start of an explosion.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you've been a genealogist professional for many, many years, and obviously this has been stirring around in your head, and you got it done in time for the National Genealogical Society Conference, which wasn't far from you, was it?
Yeah, I'm in Ann Arbor, and it was in Grand Rapids, so just a couple hours away. First time our state has ever hosted a National Genealogy Conference. It was amazing.
And so as a result, you were signing up people there over just a few days. You got, what, like 500?
We did. It was really incredible. The board of directors didn't think that we were going to announce the opening until the Federation of Genealogical Societies, the FGS conference.
Right.
And as it got closer to NGS, we thought, we're ready. We have everything lined up. Why don't we just announce it now? And we were astonished at how quickly people were signing up, which really, it was a clear indicator that this was something whose time had really come.
Yeah, it really sounds like it, and obviously it knows no borders. In fact, it knows no nationalities, right? I bet you've got people already from across the pond or something. How many countries so far involved in the sign-up?
We are representing 16 countries. We have about 1,050 members right now from 16 different countries.
And you started it when? I
know, right?
Yeah, when were the quote-unquote doors opened on this thing?
So that would have been 2 days before NGS started. So NGS started on May 2nd, so that would have been the last day of April.
The last day of April. So in this short period of time, you're over 1,000 members already, and you're charging, what, $20?
$20 for a year, and we're offering, 3 webinars a month and lots of socializing and networking and prizes, and it's pretty exciting.
That's insane. So let's talk about who the people are. What are you teaching? How does this work?
So what we're doing is we have started reaching out to speakers that we know. All of us who are on the board of directors, we've all served our local societies as vice presidents or the people in charge of programming, and we're familiar with who the speakers are in our global community who really are engaging and dynamic and draw you in, and who also are really, really good genealogists, because you have to have both of those. You can't just be a dry genealogist, and you can't be engaging and dynamic but don't really know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
so we've really gone out and sought those people.
Good point. I think you've hit it right on the head there. So what are your classes now? You must have a handful, I would assume.
Oh, more than a handful, absolutely. Our first one is coming up in June. That will be a DNA introduction with Randy Whitehead. We have Lisa Alzo, who's going to be doing a Writing Your Family History. Laura Hedgecock is going to be doing Blogging Your Family History.
Yes.
Thomas McKenty will come in and talk about future trends in genealogy.
That's incredible. And the names are big names in the field. That's fantastic.
Yes, they are. We were really excited that the people that we were approaching really believed in us right from the start and signed on, even without knowing, what was this really all about. They trusted that this was going to go as big as we'd hoped. We just didn't realize it would be so big so quickly.
So quickly. Is that causing some problems for you?
No, not really. It's more excitement, and I wouldn't say problem as much as we just didn't anticipate that we would be devoting this much time to it. So I haven't done any client work for probably 2 weeks now. No client work, not getting any of my regular stuff around the house done because it's all for the society. But it's so exciting that we don't mind. We're really loving what we do.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got something real here. There is no question about that. So,
absolutely.
I was thinking as we were having a conversation about having you on the show to talk about this, you and I were both talking about back in the day when we were first starting out, how we did it. And then what a huge transition it was from dialing 411, which for those who don't know, that was directory assistance. And you'd call and ask for phone numbers of somebody. And then for an extra dime, they'd put you through directly to that individual.
That's right.
And you wrote letters with self-addressed stamped envelopes. But nonetheless, when it went over to online material, so much of the old stuff was forgotten. There are so many people right now who would have no idea how to do any of that stuff. And I think to a certain degree, we're going to see more and more of those early computerized versions of how to do this disappearing as well. People have no recollection of it at all.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. I mean, think back to the AOL message boards for genealogy and that stuff. It moved quickly into the RootsWeb message boards or the Ancestry message boards, and now it's quickly moving into Facebook, and that's now becoming old. So what's the next thing? Well, I think it's this. I think it's the virtual stuff.
Boy, I think you're absolutely right. So are you marketing now in other continents right now, letting people know, or is it just spreading by word of mouth?
Totally by word of mouth. We did not have to do any advertising outside of sending the press releases to the people that we thought would have a big social media following and could help us get the word out, and it worked. These people had amazing audiences who were listening, and I think also having our table at Society Night for National Genealogical Society Conference was a huge help also.
Boy, you're going to be traveling a lot. I hope your family understands that you're going to be a little tied up this year.
And to think that this was going to be the year that I stayed home a little bit more. What was I thinking?
I don't know what you were thinking. I don't know. So let me ask you then, with all that's going on right now, you said you haven't done any client work in 2 weeks. Are you going to drop the client work at some point?
I hope not. I really, really love the client work, but I also am so excited about this virtual stuff. So what I'm really looking forward to is that balance. When we reach a point where we have found the people who could take over some of the things that we're not so excited about doing, going through emails and responding to the emails, that's not necessarily the most exciting part of it.
Right.
So once we can get those things taken care of and hire that out to people who will do it much better than we can, we'll be able to have balance back in our lives again. So I look forward to getting back to researching for my clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hearing people screaming in my ear, my virtual ear here, that, wait a minute, you haven't told us, where do we go to sign up for this thing? Where do you go?
Yes, virtualgensoc.com. So that's virtual, GENSOC.com.
Wow, that is absolutely unbelievable. I would imagine you have courses for different levels, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, we're definitely targeting all levels. We've had a lot of professional genealogists, those colleagues of mine that I will send my clients to because they specialize in something else that I don't specialize. We've got a lot of that population, and we also have a lot of beginners. So we have to make sure that we're offering programs that are hitting everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just spreading like wildfire. Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
it's the Virtual Genealogical Society. She is the founder of it. She is Catherine Wilson. It's taking off just like a mammoth explosion. It's absolutely unbelievable. We look forward to hearing lots of good things about that in the years to come. Catherine, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that I got to talk to you about it.
And coming up next, we're going to talk preservation with our preservation authority, Tom Perry from tmcplace.com on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show in 3 minutes. Hey, Genies, it is Fisher here, and I want to congratulate my friends at Legacy Tree Genealogists as they celebrate their 14th anniversary this month. Now, they are award-winning, longtime supporters of Extreme Genes and incredibly talented and effective researchers with experts in all different aspects of genealogy from all over the world and in DNA. My good friend Jessica Taylor founded Legacy Tree in 2004. And it is now one of the most respected research firms in the country. And as part of their celebration, they are offering a free custom-printed 18 by 24-inch family history chart with every genealogy research project. So if you've been thinking about hiring some true experts to help you break down a brick wall, there's never been a better time to do it. Legacy Tree Genealogist. Go to legacytree.com and learn about the special offer, which ends, by the way, on May 31st. Do not miss out. They'll take great care of you. It's Legacy Tree Genealogist.
Did you know that Family Search Family Tree is available through a powerful new mobile app experience? That's right. Now you can view, edit, and even add information to ancestors in your family tree whenever and wherever you are. You no longer need to wait to get home or make a date with your computer to view or update your family tree. You can add details to your tree when visiting with family or when capturing details from a trip to the cemetery. You can share new family history discoveries from classroom settings. You can even make the most of your time when waiting for doctor appointments or car repairs. Get started today by downloading the free Family Search Family Tree app to your Apple or Android device. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to get the Family Tree app for free. Exploring and expanding your family tree has never been more convenient. Visit familysearch.org/tree app to download the Family Search Family Tree mobile app today.
Hey, Genies, Fisher here with a shout out to our Patrons Club members at patreon.com/Extreme Genes. This is where friends of the show support Extreme Genes for as little as $1 a month, all the way up to the cost of a very nice burger each month. I mean, a really juicy one. You can support the show and enjoy various special Patrons Club member benefits, such as acknowledgement on extremegenes.com, special bonus podcasts from expert guests like Maureen Taylor, the photo detective, C.C. Moore, your genetic genealogist, great storytellers and experts on record sets from all over the world. We even offer expert advice on specific questions challenging your research. So go to patreon.com/extremegenes and get signed up. We love sharing your genealogical journey with you on our Extreme Genes Patrons Club. After all, what would you rather have? Inspiring and informative content or another greasy burger? The choice is yours. And thanks for supporting Extreme Genes. Welcome back. It is time to talk preservation on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and extremegenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, with Tom Perry. He is our preservation authority from tmcplace.com. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing so fabulous, I can't stand myself.
I can't stand you either. That's perfect. So I have heard from Ryan Swerdloff. He is in Alhambra, California, and he asks a very simple question, and we hear this a lot. We certainly heard it at Roots Tech back in February, March. Is the CD going extinct like the cassette tape, or will it have a resurgence like vinyl albums? Good question, Ryan. Tom, what do you say?
You know, that's an awesome question because the answer to that is all over the board. It depends who you ask. You know, I get this question all the time, and you always have to remember, no matter what you hear, whether it's from me or from somebody else, take everything with a grain of salt because people have their own ideas, their own agendas, and sometimes people just hear something and they think that's the law. But as you mentioned, at Roots Tech, we had a lot of people come up and say, oh, yeah, I went to this class, and they said, don't put anything on disc because they're going away. And I've said it the last 5 years at Roots Tech, I've been hearing the same thing. That is so not true. CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, they're going to stay around. We did a show probably about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, where we talked about people like Facebook, which can store anything any way they want to. They back up all their stuff on Blu-ray discs. And if Blu-ray were going away, they wouldn't be doing that. So discs, I really believe, are here to stay. If you want to look at a resurgence type thing, we can look at vinyl records. Look how vinyl was 10 years ago. Like back in 2007, I was doing some research, and I went to VinPower's website, and they actually had the numbers that in 2007, they sold $1 million worth of vinyl, but yet in 2017, just last year, they sold $14.3 million.
Wow.
So you can see this great resurgence that people want to go back to that vinyl.
Sure. And, well, that's because there is a sound to the vinyl that is unique. The question is, I guess, people still record now in digital. Is the sound from vinyl still the same as it would have been, say, back in the 60s, other than the fact that the recording equipment is a little different?
No, in fact, one thing that a lot of people don't know, even some of the bands don't know about this. Back in the day when I was cutting my teeth and we actually had the 24-track, 36-track, 48-track machines, what we would do is we would record the band, get it exactly how we wanted it, work with the producer, get the exact sound. Then it would go to another person who was the actual vinyl cutter. And what he would do is he would listen to our recordings and he would say, okay, this is what the producer wants the final thing to sound like. I know the nuances of vinyl, so I need to tweak this and tweak that and tweak this. So when they play the vinyl, it sounds like the magnetic, so everything was perfect. So that's where a lot of people today get really confused. They remember the pure sound of vinyl that they just love, even with the imperfections. And they go and buy a vinyl today that isn't from 30, 40 years ago, that somebody just found the old master tracks and cut vinyl. And they go, wow, this sounds different.
Yeah, boy, that makes a lot of sense. You know, it's kind of a confusing question and answer, isn't it, Tom? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we really don't know where things are going. The good news is a lot of these discs, like the Taiyo Yudins that you talk about all the time, they're going to be around because we do need to be able to store audio and video in a convenient way and make them transportable, that type of thing. But the final answer to the question, who really knows, right?
Yeah, that's true. But you got to realize also, which you alluded to, that the CD is the most versatile format for content storage, whether you're talking about music or videos or photos or x-rays or documents or anything. It's still the most universal accepted, and it's still the most affordable way to store anything. So with CDs and DVDs, and maybe in the next segment we can get a little bit more into it, you need to look at all these things like we have talked about boxes. But real quick, CDs, Blu-rays, DVDs, all these different things perform different functions, and you got to realize that they're not for just one specific thing, that they go all over the place.
All right, Tom, thanks so much, and thanks, Ryan, for the question. And we've got another one for Tom to answer coming up next when we return in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Genies, it's Fisher with exciting news. The Weekly Genie, the official newsletter of Extreme Genes, is here. It's your Monday morning briefing on what's happening in the world of genealogy and family history and on Extreme Genes. Get all the details of jaw-dropping stories of discovery and keep up with the latest techniques in family history research. Get to know more about your favorite Extreme Genes personalities, and it's free. Sign up for the Weekly Genie now at extremegenes.com or the Extreme Genes Facebook page. And when you do, you'll receive David Allen Lambert's top 10 tips for beginning genealogists from the chief genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society. Sign up today for the Weekly Genie. And we are back for our final segment this week of Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and ExtremeGenes.com. Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, with Tom Perry from TMCplace.com, our preservation authority. During the break, Tom, we were, of course, talking about how these various discs that we were just asked about are really used for many different things.
Oh, absolutely. That's where a lot of people get, narrowcasted, like, are they still going to have F-150s when people aren't going hunting? Well, they're used for other things. They're used for construction. They're using for hauling different things. They're helping people move. People just like to drive them. So you got to realize CDs are not just a convergence of music put together. Like we mentioned at the end of the last segment, people use them for x-rays. They use them for documents. They use them for all kinds of things. And a lot of people that are really paranoid, like myself, like to have something physical in your hand. I mean, I love the cloud. Right. I've got so many things in the cloud. I've got 3 iPhones, I've got iPads, I've got all this stuff, but yet I still love to have that CD in my hand that I know I'm not going to go through TSA at an airport and it's going to erase or damage or something I've got on my body, and as long as I don't scratch it or crack it or something like that, I've got something physical. I'm not worried about sitting on my USB drive or sending it through the washer. These discs are physical. They come in all different sizes, just like boxes. You have the little CD all the way up to these huge, huge Blu-rays that come in all different sizes too. So I would really be absolutely shocked if discs go away. I would really, really, really be surprised.
Right. And I agree with you. You know, what you just described is why I actually create books. When I write a history of a family, and I've done 13 or 14 of them at this point, I print them. Because I just figure, who knows what could happen ultimately. And I put them in libraries and different people's homes. And as we've talked about, all over the country, so that copies exist in many different places. There aren't a lot of copies, but at least they're out there. And that way I'm assured that they will survive no matter what happens with a website or with the cloud or whatever may happen down the line. Maybe somebody just can't get in because of a lost keyword or something. All right, one last question here before we call it a day. It's from Garrett Smith, and he says, on your website, Tom, it states videotapes are inspected, repaired, and cleaned prior to scanning. Does this procedure eliminate the lines often associated with home video playback? Most of the home videos I've seen have some kind of blemish, be it a line through the picture or scrambled staticky edges, usually at the top or bottom of the picture. Does the repairing and cleaning eliminate this? Let me know. Thanks, Garrett.
Hey, Garrett, that's a really good question, too, because you did what a lot of other people do. They get CDs and DVDs and film and VHS and all these different formats kind of mixed up, and they kind of blend the things together. Because what you're talking about, obviously, is video, but you threw some things in there that are part of the film service. Like, we don't scan videotape because videotape is magnetic. So there's no way they can actually really scan it. It's actually scanned by the head that's in the machine that's actually playing it. So what we do, and we've told people, whether you go to us, whether you go to a home video studio location across the country, or you have a local guy that you know that does a great job, they want to do it in real time. So what we do is we actually play the tape, of course, in real time and transfer it. And so if you got problems with your tape, tell us or whoever you're going to, hey, I've got these static problems. It's in the whole tape, or it starts at this point of the tape, because that will help us find out what the problem is. So give the person as much information as you can. Hey, I've got these static lines. I've got these problems. I've got these blips. The color's going away. My kids have watched this so many times. It's very staticky, and it's all the way through, or it starts here and here. And if it starts in different places, cue it up to where the problem is, so then the tech can immediately pop it in and get rid of those problems for you.
Great advice, as always. And thank you, Garrett, for the question. You can always email Tom at asktom@tmcplace.com, or you can put your question up on his Twitter page at AskTomP. Thanks, Tom. See you again next week.
My pleasure.
Hey, what a show. Thanks so much for joining us. If you missed any of this one, you've got to go back and catch it on the podcast or play it for your friends. Catch it on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, ExtremeGenes.com. And don't forget to sign up for our free weekly Genie newsletter through ExtremeGenes.com. Talk to you again next week. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.